Them Fly is enabling our students to go out and independently support their learning, that we become a tool to help them and guide them, but rather they are learning for themselves, by themselves.
A lot of teachers are putting a lot of effort into their lessons and they weren't getting the same response from the students. So we thought about different ways in which we can actually enhance their independent techniques. So I did a bit of research and we came up with 6 different techniques, and with help from my working party, we actually trialled these different techniques out with the Key Stage 5 classes. It was a bit of a slow start, but then what we decided to do was kept working at it, and the students were actually responded really, really well. Examples of different techniques were minimised teacher talk, so they were leading the lessons, personalised checklists, they were watching videos at home, and they came back into the classroom and do more application-based stuff. Really, really positive, and I think the students like the idea of having ownership.
So I feel like it's really important for teachers to just let us as students just be independent and learn for ourselves rather than being really reliant and dependent on you. And I feel like that's very important when we're transitioning onto university, as we're not going to be able to rely on lecturers and professors. Instead, it's going to be upon us to achieve the highest grades and maximise our potential.
When they introduce like Google Classrooms, where you can upload your work from home and they can give you feedback that really helps you to be independent and see where your weak points are, and then you can take control of your own learning and improve. So I prefer it this way personally.
The positive aspects was firstly reduce the workload for teachers, so it wasn't a lot of emphasis on us. And the second thing is, like I said before, was the ownership on the students. The students like the idea of being in control of their learning. I think it gave them more motivation to do work at home as opposed to just depending on the teachers all the time. And it kind of created a different ethos in the sixth form. And from day one, from the start of year 12, they had it in their head that they want to do well and they want to do the best that they can.
So the 2 techniques that I used were minimising teacher talk and also combining it with providing instructions to the students. So I had the year 13 group who had student packs. They were then paired up and asked to lead lessons to students at a time. It worked as a really good technique because it meant that I was able to support individual students while the class was being led and taken by students. And it also gave them the confidence to share their ideas about their texts. And it gave some of my quieter students the confidence to speak up because they weren't directing their answers or their suggestions to me, but to other students.
My minimising teacher talk activity replaced a lesson where typically I'd stand there and go over the solutions for about an hour. This didn't really engage the students, is what I found. So what I did is I replaced it with an activity where I'd select the student that answered each question best to come up to the board and demonstrate their solution, and then take questions from their peers afterwards. This activity had many benefits. Firstly, it gave me an opportunity to hear them talking about the concepts I'd taught them. This, unfortunately, with our very packed scheme of work, it provides us very, very few opportunities to do this, so it was a benefit in that sense. It also gave them an opportunity to work on their presentation skills. I conducted a student survey and I found out that they enjoyed listening to each other. They appreciated the language that they were using, and they found that they could easily learn from someone on the same wavelength as them.
See, the beauty behind Letting Them Fly was the fact that it actually worked in different departments. So we had examples coming from English, from MFL, from maths, and the feedback from students was very, very positive, and they liked the idea of taking control of their learning. And ultimately, the thing that we want to see at the end of this project was the results. So, for example, in chemistry, IE2 chemistry results increased, which is a massive bonus. I think what we want to do with this project is to carry on at lower key stages, because we found that in key stage 2 in primary schools, a lot of kids had a lot of independent skills. They went out, they knew what to do, they knew how to get their equipment, they had a routine in place, and I felt like in secondary we kind of like took that away in key stage 3. So if we start embedding this from key stage 3, then kids can be motivated and teach themselves.
I feel like it's very vital, especially across all fields. So even if whether it's the arts, humanities, sciences, I feel like it's really important for students not just to be reliant on teachers so much, but to actually be their own person and learn how they learn best, because in lessons you might not exactly understand everything, so it's up to you to take it upon yourselves to find problems and find the solutions for them.
In order for this to go forward, we need e-learning because we need to have some sort of platform where we can upload the videos, have some sort of network where students and teachers can communicate outside the classroom, an area where teachers can upload stuff so it encourages students to do work at home as opposed to just being focused in the class.
In ICT, we use Google Classroom to submit work digitally and get instant feedback, which creates a personalised learning environment for us to make us work independently. Google Classroom is also very accessible as it has an app and you can access it through the internet in class. So if you do get a notification from your teacher, then you will get a notification on your phone, tablet, whatever the device may be.
Google Classroom is a platform that allows students and teachers to communicate about work. It's very easy and quick to access, which means that we can use it on either our phones or laptops. As a senior prefect, we use Google Classroom to communicate with each other when we're not together, and we use it to share events.
E-learning has had a great impact on my independent learning. So for example, Edmodo, when all of my teachers post resources on there, in my IELTS and at home, I can go over everything and refresh my memory. Also for media studies, on the blogs, I can look back at past students' work and go through, and this helps with my coursework. The freedom of doing work independently prepares me for university and later life because I won't have all of my teachers to run to for answers.
So the flipped teaching model is the next step that we like to work on. It's quite popular in America. And we've had a few video conferences with schools in America that's given us some feedback on the flipped teaching model. And the concept behind it is that you pre-record your lesson and you set it as homework. So the kids go, they do the work at home, so they watch your lesson, they write the notes, the content-based they do themselves at home. And then when you come to the lesson, it's more application-based, so you can actually focus on exam techniques and doing practicals as opposed to just going through the content, heavy content base. And the advantages for flipped teaching is the fact that they learn themselves, you give them responsibility, you save time because they do the content themselves, and you can actually focus more on the skills of what's required for the exam.